Hi, my name is Sienna, and before I say anything else in this video, I just want to say if I've got a lisp, it's because I've just got my braces on, so hopefully you can still hear me pronounce everything correctly. But with this video, by no means am I trying to exalt myself above anybody, but this video is literally just, I guess, a friend trying to speak to another friend who might be, struggling with something. But I'm just going to get into it. So you might be watching this video and maybe you know that you have, a few habits which aren't the best. Maybe you enjoy partying, maybe you enjoy taking drugs, getting drunk, having sex before marriage, maybe you enjoy, watching porn. It could be anything. Maybe you enjoy gossiping, judging people. And I still to this day mess up. Sometimes, I still find myself judging people. I find myself gossiping. Nobody is perfect, only God is. But sometimes we do these things for several reasons. One reason, FOMO, fear of missing out. Our friends do them and we want to join in. Maybe we don't really care. Sometimes we think, okay, well, we've only got one life, let's just kind of do whatever we want to do. And then sometimes there's also a deeper reason. Sometimes it's because, we're hurting and we want to kind of escape from, reality by doing things which will probably take our mind off of what's going on in the present. But what I've come to realise over the course of, I guess, turning to Jesus Christ and having faith in Him is that, all of these things are physical solutions to a very spiritual problem. The problem is our souls desire satisfaction, our souls desire to be fulfilled, our souls desire something that is greater than us, bigger than us. And when these physical things are in front of us, sometimes they kind of give us a bit of gratification, they kind of fulfill our flesh a bit. But the truth is, we need to treat this problem at the root cause. And the treatment for this is God. You know, sometimes in life we feel lonely. We feel like we need to rely on these things, to comfort us, to make us feel better. But if we can actually just ask ourselves for a minute, wherever you are, just ask yourself, has this thing ever actually satisfied me? Has this thing ever actually brought me true fulfillment? Because when you do drugs, there's a sort of, it's not a hangover, is it? But there's a phase afterwards where you probably feel quite crappy. And when you get drunk, you get hungover. When you go to parties, there's a thrill when you're there, but then when you're not there, you kind of feel like just okay, just back to normal, I guess. But you see, I just wanted to come on here and tell you that there is a God out there, and He is so, so real. And He created you with a plan and a purpose. And He loves you so much, no matter what you've done. Sometimes, as human beings, we feel a lot. We are very emotional, we have a lot of emotions. I know for one that I'm a very sensitive person. And sometimes in my life I've been made fun of for that. Lots of people think that I am overly sensitive. But sometimes I guess we feel regret, we feel shame, we feel disappointment, sometimes at others, sometimes at ourselves, and this shame and this disappointment can push us even further from God, because we can't imagine somebody who loves us so much to forgive us, for everything that we've done, and we can't imagine that there's anything truly that can, fulfill us, satisfy us. I got saved by God when I was 12 years old. And at 12 years old, I was struggling a lot. I wasn't, really into drugs and alcohol, but I was very much struggling with friendships, loneliness, lust. I was struggling with fantasizing. I've got a video on my channel, the sound is terrible, but God as a whole has delivered me. And at such a young age, I was able to come to God and believe in Him and have faith in Him. But I just wanted to share this verse with you. It's Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 to 29. Or no, it's just 28. So it says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Jesus, when he is saying this to the people around him, he isn't saying this to the really holy people, the really righteous people, the people who have never done wrong. No, Jesus Christ in this moment is talking to everybody who is secretly suffering or suffering out loud, people who are hurting, people who are potentially sinning to try and take their pain away, people who are probably getting drunk, doing things, having sex, to fulfill them in a way that he knows only he can. Jesus calls us, when we are imperfect, to come to him and trust in him and believe that he is enough for us. It says, Romans chapter 5 verse 8, whilst we were still sinners, Jesus Christ died for us. So never let guilt push yourself away from the Lord, because the truth is, the Lord will truly fulfill you. No drug can, no alcohol can, no sexual act can, only the Lord can. And I wrote this one thing down that yesterday, I was just kind of journaling, and this came to my attention. And I just wrote down, God is the love that we potentially never got, and he is the peace that alcohol, sex, and money can never fully give us. Our soul will only find rest in the Lord. And concerning, maybe doing these things because, we believe we only live once, so we might as well do them. Well, that isn't necessarily true. The Lord God created souls in us, and these souls are eternal. These souls never die. And God created us with these souls that we could spend eternity with him. We could be in his kingdom with him forever, being with him, being joyful with him, singing, to him, praising him and not being in pain. But because we have as well been blessed with the gift of free will, and there is sin in this world, and we have the ability to choose sin over God, and God allows us to do so, we don't always end up with eternity with God. We sometimes end up with an eternity where we are separated from the Lord. And it's because in this life we did not choose God. We didn't want God. We pushed him away. We said no, we'd rather do this, we'd rather do that, we don't want to fully trust in you. But I feel the Lord saying right now, don't let guilt push you away from me. God can forgive you. If you go to God, God will not forgive you. If you have a heart that truly desires to know him, and you have a spirit that longs for him, and you have faith in him, God won't drive you away.